Pokemon Winds and Waves is only one of the many upcoming big Pokemon games and announcements that we should be getting sometime in the near future. I do want to point out the fact that Winds and Waves, there's a very high chance that we're not going to get any more announcements about this game this year specifically, but of course next year, without a doubt. The marketing and the trailers and just everything Winds and Waves is going to be wild. I am genuinely convinced that after the second trailer, we're going to start getting more trailers and then another trailer. After that, another trailer. I still think that it is very possible to get something with Winds and Waves this year, but anyway, what else do we have this year for Pokemon specifically? So today we're going to talk about every single thing that we should still be getting as far as the Pokemon games in 2026 that are all basically as good as confirmed. Right before we do up into it, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, stay to the end to hear about the giveaway that J-Zard and I are running up. Let's hop right into it. Alright, so we got Light saying, according to reports from Japanese media, several Pokemon announcements are still expected to receive follow-up reports. And of course, Winds and Waves will be definitely receiving a follow-up report. Like I said, we are just not sure if it's going to be this year. A Pokemon Presents typically does happen in the summertime. We're just in one of those weird off years though, where things are just kind of changing. So it could still happen. We could even just get a very tiny update on Winds and Waves, but I'm gonna be honest, I just wouldn't bet anything on that. However, there is a positive to that. We will still be getting leaks and rumors for Winds and Waves. If you guys have been following the channel recently, we definitely have been getting quite a few pretty big leaks and pretty major rumors about Winds and Waves. We quite literally have been going in waves with all the information and leaks about this game. So yeah, just want to clear that out. Leaks, rumors, always gonna drop still. Some from very reputable sources, some from, I guess you could say, questionable sources. And then more official news from Game Freak most likely will drop on Pokemon Day of 2027. And of course, the release date for Pokopia's free DLC and the DLC Part 1. Ironically enough, as I was editing this video, we did just get a brand new post from Light88 saying Pokopia first DLC is going to launch August 5th. Somebody saying, but why didn't they announce it yet? Light saying that it will be confirmed within the next 72 hours. Now, it would be insane if they were to just do some sort of random Pokemon Presents. What I find fascinating about this is that, we do typically get a summertime Pokemon Presents. Could Game Freak and Nintendo Pokemon Company be doing a very small Pokemon Presents just for the few announcements that they could potentially be showing off this year, such as Pokopia and the other things that we will be mentioning as well in this video? And then maybe like a small little update on Winds and Waves could even just be the smallest thing. Just quite literally, if they could just tell us, hey, we know we're gonna wait until 2027 to show you this game for the second time, then I think people are gonna be fine with that, because it is currently a Tuesday as I am editing this. And it seems like they love to do Pokemon Presents on Thursdays. Not trying to spread misinformation at all here, because I have no confirmation and there is no leaks about it Presents, but it's just fun to theorize and think about, you know what I'm saying? I guess regardless, it seems like Pokemon are going to be announcing this very soon. The Part 2 of the Pokopia DLC is going to be late 2026, and then apparently Part 3 is going to be sometime 2027. That should introduce an entire new town to explore. What else is interesting about this is one of the biggest things that's going to keep us and tide us over until Winds and Waves does fully drop. Pokopia is a major success, and of course a DLC is not shocking. This is the best time for them to drop a DLC because it is going to lead us directly into Winds and Waves. A very small theory I have is that Part 3 of this DLC will actually introduce maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or just a couple of the brand new Generation 10 Winds and Waves Pokemon for whatever the region is going to be called. Let me know your concept ideas of what the region name is going to be, because we do know that they want to tie everything together, so that would be a perfect explanation and a perfect reason to do so, or even just a starter Pokemon. I feel like it's very, very possible they're going to put the starter Pokemon of Winds and Waves into Pokopia, as they have done for many generations in the past, where a Pokemon has been in a spin-off game or a different Pokemon game or seen the anime before it was even in its respective region that did drop, at a later date, if that makes sense. I hope they do that again. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen something like that from Pokemon. Also, make sure to stay tuned. We will be covering some more leaks for Winds and Waves and the Pokopia DLC after we finish this list, so don't go anywhere just yet. Fire Red and Leaf Green compatibility with Pokemon Home should be dropping very soon. I thought they were going to do this way sooner. I am shocked that they have not done this yet, but there is also some rumors out there, I'd say. Definitely not leaks, but I would say rumors out there of them potentially giving us Generation 3 ports on the Switch and the Switch 2 which could maybe have some sort of, Pokemon Home compatibility, which would make sense because the Fire Red Leaf Green games are during the Generation 3 life cycle, so it would kind of just make sense, especially since we did see the Gen 3 games in the Fire Red Leaf Green coding. And the rumor is that they're going to do this as one of those other kind of smaller things to kind of tide us over until Winds and Waves does officially and fully come out. I do have a theory that this could be a shadow type of drop on Pokemon Day of 2027, just like how they did with Fire Red Leaf Green, where it came out later after the Pokemon Presents on Pokemon Day. I think Generation 3 is a fantastic region, and many people have not even had the experience or opportunity with Generation 3, and maybe they're just holding off to announce the Pokemon Home compatibility with that. Once again, this is yet another thing they could put in a Pokemon Presents during the summer, and summertime low-key is kind of ending soon, guys, so they gotta hurry up on this. And the third thing on this list is the release date for Pokemon Colosseum on the Switch Online expansion pack. I cannot believe they dropped Pokemon Gale of Darkness before Colosseum. It doesn't make sense because Colosseum takes place before Gale of Darkness. Very odd to me. I don't understand that at all. But Pokemon Colosseum and Gale of Darkness are honestly probably like the most underrated Pokemon games of all time that actually have started to see the light of day, I guess you could say, and the appreciation that they do deserve. And of course, Light specifying that this information does come from Japanese media reports that have not been confirmed by the Pokemon Company. But of course, just logically thinking, this stuff is not that crazy to think about. And not to sound too repetitive, but Pokemon Colosseum is definitely an announcement that they could put into a Pokemon Presents this year. Now let's move on to some very interesting Pokopia DLC and Winds and Waves leaks. So Generation 10 is said to revolve around the idea of building a stronger bond with Pokemon and remembering every species throughout the series. The game will reportedly feature 3 interconnected storylines, something that has already been mentioned by previous leaks. According to the latest information, the overall scope of Generation 10 has been scaled back significantly compared to its original plans, basically meaning their ambitions were kind of very high, and they've kind of toned it down a lot, which a lot of people are very nervous about. I still think it's going to deliver. I still think the game is going to be probably one of the better ones compared to some of the last generations. Will it be the best? I don't know. Rumors once again claim that Generation 10 will include MMO Lite inspired features. That is something we've been hearing since the very beginning, with the MMO features being in the game, but it's not going to be a complete full-on MMO game, if that makes sense, right? I'm a big fan of that. I like that a lot. I would love to see just very light MMO features, just to get me that much more hyped up for the official MMO that will be dropping later in a few years. A new Pokemon with an evolution method similar to Palafins is allegedly part of Generation 10, requiring an especially unusual or frustrating evolution process. There apparently is a rumored movie that has been brought up again in recent discussions. Of course, there is eventually going to be a movie for Winds and Waves, in that region. I mean, that's inevitable, so not that shocking. Contrary to earlier speculation, Manaphy was never intended to receive the rumored new form, and both Pokopia DLC 1 and 3 are set to introduce brand new Pokemon forms. In contrast, Pokopia DLC 2 is the weakest expansion of the 3, as it is set to focus most entirely on cosmetic content rather than adding significant gameplay features. I wanted to point that out specifically because DLC 1 and 3 introducing brand new Pokemon forms. Now, I don't think that this means regional variants for Winds and Waves or any new Winds and Waves Pokemon, but this makes me think of the Pokemon that we already did get in Pokopia, such as Moslax or Chef Dente, you know what I mean? And I think it's safe to say this is gonna happen. There is no way they're not gonna continue that kind of gimmick and introduce a weird spin-off. I mean, that, let's be honest, is technically a regional variant in a way, because obviously if you play through the storyline, it's not a regional variant, but in just simple terms, it kind of makes sense to call it a regional variant almost, or just like a new form, alt form, whatever. And I would absolutely love that, guys. So what Pokemon do you think that they should give some sort of new form to? I believe it's going to be a Pokemon that is not currently in Pokopia, because there's about 300 or so Pokemon in the game. I'll have it on screen. And they will definitely be adding other Pokemon, because we have over 1,000 Pokemon in total. So even if they add just 50 new Pokemon per DLC, that's a lot. And they could definitely pick, maybe 5 total to have some brand new alt form. And once again, this is the perfect time for them to be dropping a Pokopia DLC, because it's in between this large gap of time that we have until Winds and Waves does drop, and they could still be doing a classic game. Being Generation 3, I think the odds are a little bit unlikely at the moment, but also I wouldn't say it's crazy to kind of tide us over until we actually do get Winds and Waves. I throw it off to you guys though. Let me know all your thoughts and your theories. I feel like today's leaks and rumors are pretty reasonable and not really, too far out of the box. And if you guys have not joined the Discord giveaway, it's 100% free to join. The only reason it's in the Discord is so we can just keep track of the entries and to easily message the winners, because JZ and I are going to be giving away 2 $20 eShop gift cards. We're going to be announcing the winners very, very soon here. So once again, 100% free to join. Link to the Discord is in the description down below. If you guys are around watching this far in the video, comment down below your favorite game that you have played in 2026. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.